Have you ever been told that we shouldn't believe in Jesus?
I heard about Christianity, I heard about Jesus, but I never talked about that.
Yeah.
I'm like Jewish and I believe in
Yeah. I believe that we as a Jewish people, we have the right to know this because it's not something we talk about in the synagogue. It's something that's pushed away. But yet we have almost an entire nation that goes off to Eastern religions and does idol worship with Buddha and Hinduism and all that.
Yeah,
kind of
that's
stuff.
weird.
It is weird. You studied the Tanakh when you were younger?
Yes, now I study in Bar Ilan, we have Jewish classes, so it's very interesting, that's it.
When I was growing up in my Jewish family, my mom and the rabbis, they would say, don't believe in Jesus.
Oh.
And you never heard that before?
No.
Have you ever considered Jesus or thought about him in any way? Like, what did he teach? Because he was Jewish, he came from here.
Never.
So what is it about Judaism that you like? Other than being Jewish, because we're born that way.
Jewish community is very strong, and the other thing, it's the holidays, like very fun to be at.
Yeah, like Pesach? You like Pesach? And
like Yom Kippur.
Yeah. What do you like about Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement?
I like the silence that on the streets,
Okay.
I live in Sham. All of the people come to the square, just be there.
Yeah, be there together. The Day of Atonement, you brought something up that's really interesting. Do you know what it means?
It's the holiest day in the Judaism.
Okay. And why do we do that?
Because in that day, the Kohens get into the temple and talk to God.
You know why they used to go in there?
I'm not sure.
They used to go in there so that they could have God forgive their sin. And then they could sacrifice an animal.
Oh.
And so that God would forgive the sins of the people.
Oh, I've been told that.
Yeah, but the high priest, the Kohen, they had to be the mediator, mitavech, ben Elohim la'anashim, so between God and man. And so they had to go into the temple. They had to take 2 goats, and they had to kill one and put its blood on the altar. And they had to send one out to Lazazel, okay? And take the sins away.
Oh.
Take the people's sins away.
Like kapara. No?
Exactly. Bidyuk, atonement, covering. And they would do this every year until the temple was destroyed 70 AD. And since then, we haven't had any kapara. It's the holiest day of the year, but it has a deeper meaning than like we get together and we ride bikes in the square and we see each other and we hang out. That because אנחנו חוטאים כעם וגם כאנשים, we sin, we need a way to be reunited with God and for him to be able to forgive us so that we can be in a good relationship and good standing with God. And that's what Yom Kippur is all about. So if we haven't had this system for almost 2,000 years, how do you think we find forgiveness today?
I think if it's between people, like if I make something wrong with you, then I just ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
And that's how it works between people.
Yeah.
If I did something wrong and it's not about other people, it's more like talking to God when you pray, and that's helpful.
Yeah, I think it is helpful. And I think the Tanakh tells us that those are things we already should do.
Yes.
With or without the system, with or without the korbanot, God always required one thing, that something die so you don't have to. And that's why we believe in Yeshua, in Jesus. Because when he came, he made that sacrifice. For not only for our Jewish people, because it says in the Tanakh that the Jewish people are lost sheep.
Oh.
And Jesus says, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He came for the Jewish people, but not only that, for the whole world, to bring them into a right relationship with God. When he came, he shed his blood and died and rose again, showing us that he's true and the truth, and that after he died, the temple was completely destroyed by the Romans. And since that time, there have been no kaparot, no atonement sacrifices.
Oh.
Do you think that there could be like some sort of significance in his coming and him doing that for us and for the whole world?
There's no correlation between those two, but
Uh-huh.
I can't say, like...
Because the Tanakh predicts a Messiah. Have you heard about Messiah, the
Yes.
figure of Messiah? What do you think about that figure, and what do you think he's supposed to do?
He's supposed to bring the temple back. That's
And
the idea.
where does it say that? Like, where did you learn that?
I heard that, never found a real statement that says the next Messiah would bring the temple back, but...
That's smart. And it's honest too, because it's not in there. It's not in the Tanakh that the Messiah will bring a third temple, like a physical standing temple. I think that you can find allusions to the fact that a new temple may be built, but what else do you think that Messiah is supposed to do?
That's it.
Just bring a new temple? For what reason?
To give God a place to be at.
Wow. So you think that like his presence comes to earth?
Yes.
I agree with you. I think he's shown that through the Hebrew scriptures. He showed up to Abraham. He showed up to Jacob, to Gideon, to Manoah and his wife. Like you have a visible representation. He was in the fire and the cloud that led the people through Amidbar. And so we see God actually, his desire is to be with us.
Yes, but since then he kind of vanished, you know. He's been, since the Israelis come back to this land, when they came from Egypt.
Wow. 3,500 years almost?
So since then he's been less and less present in what he have done with the people. Since then there was no significant appearances of him.
Well, a lot of Christians and people like myself that are Jewish and believe in Jesus believe that he actually did appear in a human form just before the temple was destroyed. To be an atonement, kapara, and that by putting our faith in him, we have that forgiveness of sin, but not just for a season, forever. And then we can live eternally with God because we put our faith in God's covenant, abrit shel Elohim. Nagid, abrit Sinai, that was a covenant that our people broke. And that was a bilateral covenant between God and the people of Israel, meaning that we had a certain responsibility in the covenant. And if we break the covenant, then the covenant is broken. Now, he provided a way for us to be covered for a temporary period of time, but he also promised us a new covenant. Did you hear about that in the book of Yirmiyah and Jeremiah?
I heard just the name, nothing more.
Yeah. And so God did promise a new covenant because a lot of people ask us, well, wasn't Moses enough? Why do we need something new? But we need something new because God decided that we need something new and he was going to provide that. And on Pesach, when Jesus came and he was sitting in a room with his Talmidim, his disciples, he raised the cup on Pesach and he says, this is the new covenant now in my blood. And then he went to the tzlav and he bled, was buried, and 3 days later rose again. He was appearing to hundreds of people who witnessed him and saw him and wrote it down. And there were people saying, well, hey, if you don't believe me, you can go ask people because they've seen him. And this is all recorded in the New Testament. Have you ever been interested in reading the New Testament?
No.
No? Would you be interested in one? I have in Hebrew and in English, because if you look through the Tanakh and you finish the Tanakh and you open up the New Testament, it's a wonderful, seamless continuation.
I believe that I'm not mature enough to be able to read the New Testament because I haven't fully understood the Torah and the stuff that comes with it.
That's interesting, and I appreciate you saying that, because you don't even have to read the New Testament to understand what God has for us, because he promises it in the Tanakh. If you read the Tanakh, you'll see from the beginning, he promises a redeemer. Redeemer, Goel?
Yes.
Throughout the Tanakh, it shows the lineage, Torasha, of the people that will bring this person in. And in Isaiah, the book of Yeshaya, there's prophecies that talk about what he's supposed to go through. Have you read Yeshaya? Would you mind reading something from the Tanakh?
Yeah, sure. לכן חלינו נסענו מחובנו, סבלם ואנחנו חשבנו נגוע מכל אלוהים ומענה, ומחולל פשענו מדכא מאותנו, מוסר שלומנו עליו וחברותיו נרפא לו. כולנו כצאן טעינו, איש לדרכו פנינו, ואדוני יבקיענו בו את עון כולנו. ניגש והוא נענה, ולא יפתח פיו, כשלטבח יבל כרחל לפני גזזיה נעלמה, ולא יפתח פיו. מעוצר וממשפט לוקח ודורו, מי ישוחח כי נגזר מארץ חיים מפשע עמי נגע למו, ויתן את הרשעים קברו ואת השיר במותיו, לא חמס עשור ולא מרמה בפיו, ואדוני חפץ בקעו החלים תשים אשם נפשו, גרי זרע יאריך ימים וחפץ אדוני בעדו יצלח. מעמל נפשו ישביע בדעתו יצדיק צדיק עבדי לרבים ועונותיו הוא יסבול, לכן נחלק לו ברבים ואת עצומים יחלק שלל תחת אשר רע למוות נפשו, ואת פושעים נמנע, והוא חטא הרבים נסע לפושעים יבגר.
תודה. אתה קורא יפה. אתה יודע מה קרה לישוע, נכון? ולמה הוא הגיע? היהודי מנצרת, הנצרת?
לא ממש.
אוקיי. קודם כל הוא בא כדי לכפר על החטאים שלנו, להיות הקורבן.
אמרת את זה. אמרת את זה.
כן. והוא נצלב, שפך את דמו, he spilled his own blood, and by his wounds, we receive the healing. We receive the forgiveness because of what he did. And this here is a prophecy, is a nevuah, shenichtav, that was written 700 years before he came by our Hebrew prophet Isaiah. And this is the most clear example of what Messiah had to go through. And this talks about what he went through. He was killed with right next to criminals. He was buried in a rich man's tomb, and he took the punishment that we deserve upon himself.
I just haven't finished learning the Tanakh, not
It's
the
a bit-
Tanakh, the Torah like
Yeah.
you wanted to.
Well, check it out. Read the Torah. Read the
No.
Tanakh.
No, I never read that part of the Tanakh.
And if you go to Yirmiyah, the prophets, הנביאים. מה זה 31? כף א'?
No,
סליחה.
21. הנה ימים באים נאום אדוני וקראתי את בית ישראל ובית יהודה ברית חדשה, לא כברית אשר קראתי את אבותם ביום החזקי באדם להוציאה מארץ מצרים, אשר אמר הפרו בריתי ואנוכי בעלי בעם נאום אדוני, כי זאת הברית אשר הקראת את בית ישראל. ואחרי just יכול פשוט להסביר לי מה כתוב פה?
כן, בעצם זה נבואה מהנביא ירמיה. It's a prophecy from the prophet Jeremiah, which talks about God promising a new covenant, ברית חדשה. And why would we need a ברית חדשה if we already have תורת משה? Why would we need a new covenant, a new ברית חדשה? למה? יש לנו ברית עם משה, יש לנו את כל התורה, את כל החוקים, 10 הדיברות וכולי, וגם, and everything that he added to it, that was added to that. Why would we need a new one, do you think?
I don't think we need a new one.
But God says so in his word. He will give a new covenant to our people. I explained it earlier. If you have a covenant or if with someone and it's broken, it's broken. You have to make a new one. You can't continue living through a broken covenant. Something has to change and something has to be made new. You know what I mean? And so if we as a people broke his covenant and he's promising a new covenant, and then Yeshua comes on Pesach and said, this is the new covenant. It begins now with my blood. And then he goes to the Tzlav, the Roman cross, dies and spills his blood. And then 3 days later, he rises again for everyone. So that everyone that puts their faith in him can be forgiven of their sins and have eternal life with God, with no sorrow. And that's the promise that God makes. It's not something I'm making up. You know what I mean? I'm not making up something new. God promises in the Tanakh. And if you read the Tanakh, I think if you read it openly, you'll see God is preparing us for someone to come and do these things and bring in a new covenant. So I just wanted to introduce you to it because I believe that we as a Jewish people, we have the right to know this because it's not something that we talk about in our community. It's not something we talk about in the synagogue. It's something that's pushed away. But yet we have almost an entire nation that goes off to Eastern religions and does idol worship with Buddha and Hinduism and all that.
Yeah,
kind of
that's
stuff.
weird, you know.
It is weird. It's like either the rabbinic Judaism, atheism, or Eastern religion. And so we introduce people to the covenant that God gave to our people. And instead of finding our own way, we look for his way. And I think you can find it in the Tanakh. And we have with us a piece of literature that shows Mea Nevuot Shigashmu b'Mashiach. And I want to give that to you so that when you're reading the Tanakh, you can look at it. Would you mind taking one? You can look at it.
I haven't even started to read it now.
That's okay. You just take it, and it's small. You can check it out. So that when you're reading the Tanakh, you can see what the Messiah is supposed to do. Just keep an open mind.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
That's great. I appreciate
I
you.
just haven't even been close to that.
That's okay. Maybe one day you'll be curious and God will touch your heart and lead you to him, because I believe that we need him. And I believe that without him, we have a much more difficult time in this life. And also in the next life, because God exists and I believe the soul is eternal, we can live with him instead of separate from him. And so I want to introduce you to him and hope that one day your mind will be open and your heart will be open to it. So, Itai,
Yes.
thank you. I appreciate you.
If you love the way that we approach and share our faith on So Be It, let me tell you, I am 100% confident that you can do this too. We have just created the Jews for Jesus classroom so that you can have access to the same training for free that our Jews for Jesus team around the world receives in how to share what we believe with Jewish people and really with anyone in a way that's bold and loving and culturally sensitive. And this is going to equip you to share your faith with that person in your life that I know you've been praying for. Please check it out now at the link below.